China's been a real roller coaster, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
And driven more by, flows and kind of sentiment rather than fundamentals. As you highlight, we're still missing a lot of the important pieces of the jigsaw. So we're waiting for that. Obviously, the news so far directionally has been positive, but we need to see more, particularly on the fiscal side. China's undoubtedly cheap. I think even after the run-up that we've seen so far, you can argue that many of the evaluations are still pretty attractive. So if we see continuity in the sort of policy moves, then there's probably still some way to go on the China story. India, in contrast, I think is purely a fundamental story, and one of the most attractive stories still across the whole of the region, in my view. We've seen robust economic growth that's filtering through to earnings growth. Valuations are a bit full, admittedly, but I don't see any particular reason why we would see a material derating to that, because the trajectory fundamentally is very sound.
Yeah, but India is going at forward earnings of roughly 22 times, right? China's at 10 times, despite the rally. Right? Isn't that a big gap? I mean, if David Tepper is saying buy everything China related, wouldn't that influence investor thinking on the institutional side?
It is a big gap. That gap has always been there. India has always traded a premium to China, and deservedly so, in my opinion. You are paying for that long-term sustainable growth, and I think that's where the question mark is on China. Now, maybe some of these stimulus measures and policy support will be a catalyst for a recovery in some of the growth, particularly on the all-important kind of consumer side. But the evidence is not there yet, and it's going to take a while. So you're sort of betting on an expectation that it's going to come through at the moment. Whereas India, I think your earnings visibility is just much, much clearer. And you should be prepared to pay a premium for that, both for the near-term earnings visibility and that long-term story. And I think some of the re-rating that we've seen in India is justified. I mean, we have seen, very robust double-digit earnings growth. We've seen return on equity ratios improve, and that deservedly drives a re-rating in the market.